Hey everybody, welcome to Back Porch Cooking and Reminiscing. I'm Roger, and as always, I'm happy to have y'all here with us today. So today we're going to be doing something that's going to play off of a video we did a week or two ago, and that was the video we did using the Hormel canned tamales. Well, today we're going to use those same Hormel canned tamales, but we're going to make a tamale pie out of it. So y'all stick around. I'm going to show you how to make a Hormel tamale pie. The first thing that I did was I went ahead and browned our ground beef and sauteed our onions to go along with that. And uh, the actual recipe, calls for a pound of hamburger, and you know everything is basically doubled from what I'm going to be using today because I'm going to just make enough for me and Audrey to have to eat. I'm not going to make enough to feed the neighborhood. So, uh, as I said, the recipe, I'll give you the recipe for the full tamale pie, but as I'm doing it myself, my recipe is just going to be for half of it. So, we got our beef and our onions done, and we're going to add 1 tablespoon of taco seasoning, and then we're going to add a 1/4 cup of water. All right, and we're just going to give that a stir around and get that taco seasoning incorporated into our beef and onion mixture here. I tell you, that already smells good, and it ain't even been in there 15 seconds yet. All right, so getting that all incorporated in. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a 1/2 cup of corn, and we're going to add a 1/2 cup of Rotel diced tomatoes and green chilies. And then we're just going to stir all that in and kind of let that simmer for a few minutes. So our meat has been simmering for about 3 or 4 minutes there, and it's time to get our tamales ready. So I just pulled them out of the can because I'm saving the juice until last. But pulled them out, and now in this one, we're going to go ahead and take the paper off the tamale, and let's just kind of pull it and shake it. That's really about all you got to do. They'll pretty much just fall right out of there. Just a matter of finding where the end of the paper's at. There it is. And there's 5, and here's our 6th one. All right. Let me give my hands a rinse here real quick. All right. And now the next thing that we want to do is we want to cut these tamales into probably about 4 pieces per tamale. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're just going to do that with every single one of them. Give us about 4 pieces out of each one. You know, we got so many comments about Hormel tamales being dog food and not being worth eating and all this. But I'm telling you, folks, if you haven't tried it, don't knock it until you try it because it's actually pretty good stuff. Now, somebody did comment that there wasn't no way that that was authentic. And I said, well, never said it was authentic, but it's, something that was quick and easy. This is a little more complicated here than just doing the tamales like we did on the original video. But all right, so we got our tamales cut up, and then we're ready for our next step. We're going to take our brown grief, our corn, and our rotel and green chilies, and we're just going to spread that over top this mixture. Now, I did go ahead and pour the juice from the tamales out of the can and over the tamales in the pan here. So that is something I've already done. And then we're just going to add this mixture. And I've got some bell peppers and some jalapenos cut up that we're going to add to our cornbread mix, kind of make it like a Mexican cornbread, which appreciate everybody that watched our Mexican cornbread. That was a big hit too. All right, so we got that poured over top of that. And now we're going to add some cheese. So we got us our cheese, and we're just going to sprinkle cheese on. Now we like cheese, so I'm going to put a whole lot of cheese on there. And the recipe only calls for a certain amount, but if you like cheese, you like cheese. And as this old saying goes, the more the merrier. All right. So we got our cheese on there, and the next step is going to be to make our cornmeal mix to go on top. Now here in our bowl, we've got 1 cup of white lily yellow cornmeal mix, and to that we're going to add our butter. And remember, y'all, I'm making this smaller recipe, so I'm gonna give you the full recipe in the description. Got an egg, and we got some sugar. All right, we're just gonna give that a good stir. Get that kind of incorporated in a little bit. And then we're gonna put our milk in there. And we got a 1/2 cup of milk here. So we got that in there now. All right, and now we can begin the serious mixing. And this will come together pretty quick on the cornmeal mix. And just make sure you scrape down your sides and get everything. And that's all there is to that. Now we've got our cornmeal ready. One thing I almost forgot, I wanted to add our bell peppers and our jalapenos and a little bit of onion into our cornmeal mix. So let's get all that in there. I had it sitting over to the side and just almost forgot that I had it sitting there. All right, we'll just stir that in real quick. That really makes that smell really good. All right, and we got it all mixed up. And now I'm going to take a spatula, and we're going to just pour this mixture over top of everything, and then we'll spread it out once we get everything in there. All right, So that's got all of that. And we'll pull it over here where we can see a little bit. And then we're just going to take this and smooth it out over the top. Trying not to tear it up too bad. But it is a very thick cornmeal mixture. Kind of like trying to batter a cake when it's hot. Everything wants to come apart on you. Well, that's got us pretty well covered. And we've got our ovens been heating at 300 and let's see, what was our oven supposed to be heating at? 375 degrees. So that's what it's been heating at. And we are ready to put this puppy in the oven and let it bake. So I think it looks pretty good. So when we get it cooked here in just a little bit, we'll be back. After about 25 to 30 minutes in the oven, this is our finished product. It sure does look good and smell good. So after you get it done, you're supposed to leave it sit for anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. So it's been sitting that long. So we're ready to cut us a piece and give it a taste. All right, y'all. So I got me a piece cut and it's been sitting here cooling for a minute. It, as I said, it sure does smell good. So let's give it a try and see how it tastes. And hopefully I've let it cool long enough that I won't burn myself up with it. But I'm going to blow on it just in case. It's pretty good. It's got a really good flavor to it with the corn and the ground beef and the cornbread with the bell peppers and the jalapenos. Um, Pretty good. I'm actually kind of surprised because I haven't made this in a long, long time and really couldn't remember just exactly how it tasted. But I'm very, very satisfied. So I'll put this recipe in the description, and I'm going to give you the recipe for the full entire um, thing, like what it's supposed to be made. Then, if you want to cut it down, you can cut it down. Um, so that'll be in the description. And as I tell you always, make it for your family. Share this recipe with your friends, and I hope you enjoy it. Remember, hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. And we will see you next time. Y'all have a great one.